Now, you may know that I'm a huge sci-fi nerd, and Audible has an immense catalog of amazing audiobooks to choose from. Everything from my current favorites by Cixin Liu, such as Three Body Problem. New Audible members get a and YR 500 to try Audible today. Black and YR, all I see, in my infancy, red and yellow then came to be, reaching out to me, lets me see. All right, hold on, I can't do this. I was going to do a whole conspiracy thing where I find a bunch of links between the Tool Song Lateralis and the Pokemon Pikachu, kind of as a joke, but it's dumb. I'm dumb. I will, however, talk about the notable ideas that they both represent inside the creative space. I used to listen to a lot of Tool, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, and if you don't know, they're a very cerebral band. Lots of ideas about consciousness and creativity just littered throughout their work. Lateralis, by chance, happened to be one of my favorite Tool songs, and it was always notable because of its constant references to the Fibonacci sequence. And in case you don't remember, the Fibonacci sequence is a series of numbers where each new number is the sum of the numbers before it. So as an artist, we're probably more accustomed to approximating this with the golden ratio, or golden spiral, or in my personal deep obsession with big, medium, and small. It's one of the few things in design theory that can be said to have universal appeal. We just find that level of logarithmic patterns to be naturally pleasing and relaxing in an otherwise chaotic seeming world. Going back to big, medium, small, this is a great chance to bring up Pikachu, because if you remember from my video on shape hierarchy and big, medium, small, Pikachu is kind of a great example of using those golden ratios. If there ever truly was a link between Lateralis and Pikachu, it would be that they are both somewhat children of the Fibonacci sequence. To be fair, Lateralis was way more deliberate about it, whereas Pikachu, it's really just a result of some intuitive decision making. Intuition, that key creative force, and really the reason for this section of the video, because it was relatively recently where I listened to Lateralis again after many years of not having listened to Tool, and when it got to the chorus, it just struck me. Words that just seemed kind of vague and cool when I was young suddenly took on a whole new meaning, and I felt like I really understood and connected with them. Overthinking, overanalyzing, separates the body from the mind, withering my intuition. So I've known this was a song about the creative process, but I had never realized just how much my own evolving views on design theory were tied into this same idea. I've been making so many videos repeatedly about the importance of finding the right tempo, energy, and focus in order to draw upon your visual library and design sensibility pick up where I'm leaving, but things have just been getting wild. It is the hot button issue, and I had to just... Oh, NFTs, what have you done? I had originally thought about making a video about NFTs a while back, and I had planned it out that I would make it maybe like in a few months, but things have just been getting wild. It is the hot button issue, and I had to just step things up and be like, okay, I just gotta share my thoughts now while everyone's obsessed over it. It's my old nemesis, cryptocurrency. It just refuses to die. But like with every NFT-related video, I have to take a moment to describe what is it. NFT stands for non-fungible token, but who cares? It's just a way to sell your digital artwork as if it was a one-of-a-kind object, which it's not, by using some arbitrary blockchain status. You're not even selling the rights to the image, which would be a one-of-a-kind thing, but instead just the arbitrary concept that putting a copy of something into a blockchain gives it some arbitrary value. I'm going to be using the word arbitrary a lot throughout this section because it's a fun word to say, and it really sums things up pretty well. Now, bear with me because we are going to get into some late-stage capitalism shenanigans, but you might be wondering what would give something so arbitrary any value whatsoever. Well, interestingly enough, the entire value of NFTs is nearly exclusively dependent on the name recognition of the person who makes the NFT. So their blessing and credibility is what actually provides some prestige of value. If I put out an NFT, I could probably make a few bucks. I have a meager amount of name recognition. It could work. The content of the image would probably be of minor relevance. Elon Musk could put up a finger painting and probably make $1 million off of it, while some hardworking artist that doesn't have a huge following could put up an absolute masterpiece and maybe collect 20 or 30 cents off of it. That's kind of the nature of things. Finally, after years of existing in a land where the only value of a digital painting was based on the overall visual enjoyment of the image, we can finally inject the sensibilities of the traditional gallery art scene into our digital space. It's a relief because personally I was getting tired of all the grinding and fundamentals. Now I can just sit back and build value through attending social engagements, the way art was always meant to be. Okay, I'm being silly, it's fine. Some of you will certainly disagree with a lot of my open criticisms of unregulated capitalism, but I just can't escape the overwhelming knowledge that it's obnoxiously easy to make money when you have money, and how intertwined that's become with the world of social media influence, where it takes influence to make influence. All of these things lead to a giant dead end in a long enough timeline, and that timeline just keeps shrinking. Alright, sorry, I'll try to resist going on a huge rant about the overwhelming importance of sustainability in capitalism, but let's just get back to the word arbitrary. So, I'm sure you all understand what value is based on: fragility and scarcity. Without some version of those factors, there can be no value. Now, adding arbitrary scarcity to something has certainly always been highly questionable, but it can work in certain systems that are built on trust. That's what money is. It's just a value based on an arbitrary scarcity, but with an agreed amount of trust in the controlling forces. Without that all too important trust, it would just be like someone collecting all the shiny rocks on this planet and then single-handedly declaring how scarce they are and how much they should be valued at, even though they have a distinct and clear bias for their own benefit. And yeah, I'm joking because we already do that. That's what a diamond is. And how do people get away with that? Well, it's simple. We use social and cultural influence. A diamond is forever. A diamond means I love you. You can't get married without a diamond. All of that stuff is very social and cultural influence. Wait, I've seen that word before. Influence. Influencer. The only reason to allow something to have arbitrary value and scarcity when there's such a clear bias built into it is through social and cultural influencers. I hate to say it, but there's actually a name for bad faith arbitrary value, and that's called a scam. I'm not saying people who partake in NFTs are all trying to scam people or anything remotely like that, simply that the value instilled in NFTs is based off scam-centric concepts. And it's the same in every generation, from the airplane game to timeshares to multi-level marketing to cryptocurrency to whatever will come next. It's all the same nonsense, people desperately seeking to break free of the flawed economic system we are all forced to deal with. Alright, this topic actually didn't really go anywhere where I was thinking it would. We didn't even begin to get into the arbitrary wasting of power and natural resources that goes into NFTs. We didn't even touch on the sheer amount of unethical property theft and stealing of art that is running rampant in the NFT scene. We don't even need to get into all these horrible flaws because the core concept itself is already flawed enough. I'm not going to end this on a down note though. I want to instead highlight the positive things that have happened because of NFTs. The rainforest is gone, so that's great. No, I'm kidding. There are actually some great things. So anytime an artist makes money, or is valued by society, this is great for all artists. The fact that someone will pay $69 million for a Beeple image will only bring up the perceived value as a whole of all of the digital art space. So the rising tide lifts all boats, and you should always remember that. I do feel like a segment of the negativity toward NFT stuff is more focused on resentment toward artists making a bunch of money, much like some people were mad at Sakimi-chan in the early days of Patreon. And no matter your opinion on NFTs, don't take it out on other artists. That's not really beneficial for anyone. Artists are consistently undervalued by society as a whole, and while NFTs are a mess in my opinion, I'll never fault any artist for trying to find ways to have their work be valued. It should be valued. It is valuable. We just need to find less arbitrary ways to do that. Regardless, a lot of my favorite artists are cashing in some influence to make money off of NFTs, and make money where you can make money. Just be cautious and be observant about what you're doing. Well, that was certainly a rant. I'm feeling a bit tired from it, and I know I'll get a lot of various comments from the crypto lords and young Republicans alike. It's fine. You're allowed to disagree with me on everything and think I don't understand anything. We all feel that way about everyone we disagree with, and it is what it is. So, it's fine. You can have your opinions, but regardless, thank you all for watching. I enjoy making this series, and I really hope you guys are enjoying it too. I didn't do a Q&A section in this episode, but if you have any questions